and today I am doing a reaction video with my brother to the YouTube channel Share My Story. Now we're going to watch a few stories, and we're going to react to them. So today, we're going to react to this one. It says, I replaced my wife with it. Oh, oops. I replaced my wife with an 18-year-old girl. So here we go.
Hey, my name is Adrian.
Alright, let's go, guys.
And I wanted to tell you why I got rid of my wife of 10 years and then found a new girlfriend that is much younger than her. It all started about 2 years ago when I realized I wasn't happy in my marriage. My wife always complained and criticized me, and to make things worse, she'd gained some weight and wasn't as attractive as before.
Okay, how are you going to start off the story about, oh, she gained some weight, so she wasn't attractive anymore?
Alright, let's just play.
Meanwhile, at my work, everything was going great. I had just received a promotion, and we had an intern that was directly reporting to me. Her name was Joanne. She was only 18, but we got along so well. I liked how she treated me with so much admiration, like I was someone special. But when I got back home, my life turned dark again. My wife told me to bring out the trash or the bathroom, but there was no love or joy between us. Meanwhile, I started to obsess about Joanne and thought about her constantly, even when I was laying next to my wife in bed. I knew things needed to change, and I told my wife I wanted an open relationship. When she said no, I got so angry and I said I wanted a divorce because she had become a fat Grinch. I immediately regretted what I said, but the damage was already done, and my wife was crying. To make things worse, I'm not very good at saying sorry, so I just packed my stuff and left. I felt bad afterwards. I never wanted to hurt my wife, and I wasn't sure if I had only broken up with her so I could date Joanne. Well, the next day at work, I asked Joanne out on a date. She got really excited and said, "Of course I want to go out with you." "But I thought you were married." "Yes, but I'm in the process of getting a divorce, so I'm free to do whatever I want," I responded. I can't describe how good it felt to be free again, and dating Joanne was the cherry on top of the ice cream. She had so much youthful energy and we were always having a good time. But meanwhile, my wife kept on contacting me, saying she wanted us to try again. It got so annoying that at one point I wrote back to her saying, "No thanks. I've already found someone new. She's in good shape and appreciates me." Wow, I can't believe I said that to my own wife. I treated the person I once loved the most like dirty trash. But what I didn't expect was what my wife did next. She somehow found out who my new girlfriend was, and when I went on a picnic with her, my wife stormed up at us screaming, "I know who she is. Your girlfriend has been sleeping around with everyone when she was in high school." Apparently, my wife got so mad about me dating an 18-year-old girl that she contacted Joanne's old high school friends to dig up dirt on her. Wow, I'd never seen my wife so mad before. I realized that our divorce had taken a big toll on her because she looked so exhausted and old. That day hit me hard, but I was able to forget about my wife by spending time with Joanne. It was so much fun to spend time with her in the beginning, but after a few weeks, I got bored of her too, and we broke up. Weirdly enough, right when I left Joanne's building and crossed the street, I got hit by a car.
Oh,
It was a serious accident, and the doctors had to keep me in an artificial coma for 2 whole days. When I woke up, I saw my wife. I was too weak to say anything, but I couldn't believe anyone would still love me even after I had caused them so much pain. The next days, laying in the hospital gave me a lot of time to think. I came to the conclusion that the reason my marriage had been a disaster wasn't my wife's fault, but my own fault. Because in our first year of being married, everything was great. We always helped each other, and I was so in love that I didn't even notice my wife had any flaws. But in our second year, I forgot our anniversary for the first time, and I also stopped saying I love you, and those small things are so important. So, once I could walk again, I immediately went back to my wife and asked her for forgiveness. I promised to treat her again like I did when we first met. And luckily, she accepted my apology. Today, I'm petrified of destroying my relationship again, so I'm always buying her flowers and telling her how much I love her. because I think that's what a relationship is all about. It's about giving and caring. It's not about taking and wanting. Hey, let me know in the comments if you've ever been in a failing relationship. And was it your fault or the fault of your partner? Always. Thanks for listening, and please subscribe to this channel.
Alright.
Alright, that was pretty good.
I can't believe my man literally was like, yeah, I'm done with you.
Alright. So now we're gonna watch another one called
No, can I
Dating.
choose? I
Oh,
want-
no, we're just going in order.
Come on, why can't I want your deadly revenge?
No, we'll watch that in the next video.
Let's play Raid Shadow Legends. Start now for free.
No, I won't play that.
So look, guys, you gotta watch these ads because, like,
Hey, I'm Susan, and I'm studying to become a high school English teacher. But going to college in the United States is incredibly expensive. And I'm already $40,000 in debt. On a teacher salary, it's gonna take forever to pay it off. But luckily, I found a really weird job. I'm supposed to meet up with guys and just talk to them. Sometimes it's like a date, but mostly it's all about having an interesting conversation or going to the opera together. And no, I'm not going home with the guy afterward. It's just a date. Even though some guys want me to pretend that I'm their girlfriend and they expect me to laugh at their jokes, like I was completely in love with them. But recently, I met this one guy who wanted to see me every single weekend. And I decided to do a bit of cyberstalking. That's when I found out that he was married with 3 kids.
Oh my god.
Now I was seriously confused, and I wasn't sure if he was cheating with me on his wife. I mean, we were only talking to each other and eating at fine restaurants, but it kind of felt wrong. So the next time we saw each other, I asked him if his wife knew about us. He explained that he and his wife had fallen out of love a long time ago, and that they only stayed together for their kids. I wasn't sure if I believed him. But then, he asked me if I wanted to go on a trip with him to Paris. For some reason, that really creeped me out. Flying with a stranger to a different continent? No way. That's why I decided to not go on any more dates with him. Don't get me wrong, he was a nice guy, and he even worked as a doctor at a hospital. But he was also 35 years older than me, so no thank you. I know I have a really weird job, but it's not as bad as it sounds, even though I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Because it could definitely happen that you meet some weirdo that will stalk you afterward. But so far, I was lucky, and didn't have any bad experiences. It's just that I'm completely broke, and if I worked at Starbucks 8 hours a day, I would barely even make enough money to pay for rent. And how shall I find time to study while working a full-time job? A couple of my college friends even have to live in their cars because they can't afford to pay rent. They say it's really uncomfortable at night, and they're always worried that someone will smash their window and steal their stuff. I don't want to live like that. It's easier for me to go on a fake date with some old guy, especially because the agency I work with always does a background check on the men I meet, which means that I don't have to be worried about meeting a criminal. The men I date sometimes pay me up to $200 just to talk to me for a few hours. I guess they really like me because I'm well-read and educated. I can talk about almost any topic, from politics to history. But of course, I haven't told my parents about my job. They are very conservative and super judgmental. If my dad found out I was going on dates with older men, he would probably disown me, or worse. He already thinks I'm a disappointment because I decided to become a high school teacher instead of a doctor. He says my kids will someday grow up in poverty and it's all my fault. But he isn't the perfect guy he thinks he is, because after he inherited $300,000 from his dad, he lost it all in a big investment scam. He wanted to become rich fast, and now he's as broke as before. And with those $300,000 he lost, I could have easily paid for my college tuition. But, instead, I have to work as a fake girlfriend and go on dates with 60-year-old men. I mean, please don't think that this is my dream job. I would much rather chill at home or go out with some of my friends. But I can't do that because my dad has never learned how to manage his money. All he can do is criticize his daughter for not being ambitious enough. Ugh, just thinking about my dad makes me angry. Maybe I'll send him a photo of me with some old guy that I'm on a date with, and then write into the caption, "My new boyfriend." I know that it would drive him crazy, and he definitely deserves it. Because last year, he and my mom divorced after she caught him having an affair with their maid. I couldn't believe it at first, because my dad had always preached about the sacred bond of marriage. The older I get, the more I realize that my dad is a complete hypocrite. He always forced us to go to church each Sunday. But now I realize that he never actually practiced what he preached. I wish I could simply stop caring about what my dad thinks of me. But it's not that easy. For some reason, I still think about him all the time, and I still want to make him proud. But anyway, let me know in the comments if you could ever work as a fake girl.
Okay, so that one wasn't as good as the first one. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we should watch another one or if we should end the video here.
How long have we been recording? 11 minutes?
We're gonna watch another one.
Alright, we'll be right back, guys.
Alright, guys. Well, Gage had to go, so I'm gonna watch this one's called $8 Million.
Hi there, my name's Jim, and I've been happily married to my wife Tracy for about 6 years, when one day we got the best news of our life. No, she wasn't pregnant. She had won $8 lotto. Now, if that's not a dream come true, then I don't know what is. Straight away, we started planning how to spend the cash once we got it. We would finally move out of the shoebox apartment and buy a mansion, and I could get a Porsche or a Ferrari and... Okay, before I get carried away, let me throw a spanner in the works. That day ended up being the worst day of my life. You wouldn't believe what happened next. After jumping around our lounge and crying with happiness, Tracy decided she better go claim the money before it was too late. I wanted to go with her and thought about calling my boss to say I would never come back. Until the lotto money came in, we needed every penny we could get. That's why my wife and I arranged to meet at a fancy restaurant down the road from my office at lunchtime to celebrate. That whole morning, I was on such a high. Once I handed this project in, I'd never have to work another day in my life, I thought to myself. When lunchtime finally came, and I pretty much skipped to the restaurant my wife had planned to meet, I felt like the happiest guy in the world and ordered a $400 bottle of champagne while waiting for Tracy to arrive so we could pop the cork together. Well, I waited, and I waited, and after 30 minutes of her still not showing, I gave her a call. That's strange. She didn't even pick up. She was probably stuck in traffic. I was just about to leave when my phone lit up. It was a message from Tracy. "Jim, I'm sorry, but I can't do this anymore. Things just aren't the same, and it's clear we want different things. All the best to you, Tracy. P.S. I already moved all my stuff out of the apartment, so you don't need to worry about seeing me again." The sneaky little rat. I couldn't believe it. She had won the lotto and now she was dumping me? What? So she didn't have to share the cash with me? Was she that selfish? I was so angry I almost smashed the champagne bottle, but instead I decided I'd sit there and enjoy every last drop of it. The more I drank, the more tipsy I became, and that's when I came up with a plan. Tracy could think again if she thought she was going to get away with this. Revenge was sweet, and I had the perfect recipe. I called up every single local newspaper I could think of and told them what happened. They immediately wanted to do an interview, and I also forwarded them the text that Tracy had sent me. The next morning, I popped out to the shop and grinned. The shelves were packed with newspapers, and they all had the same headline: "Selfish wife wins lotto and leaves husband." Everything I told them was there. Every last detail. Tracy had been named and shamed, and now everyone knew what kind of despicable person she was. But that's not all. I decided to up my game a bit and sue her for trying to take all the money, instead of sharing it with me. The best part was the judge decided she didn't just have to give me half of her $8 million lotto win, but she also had to pay for my lawyers, which cost her another $70,000. Which means that I'm officially richer than her now. Can you believe it? Talk about jackpot. I guess I can't complain. I might have lost my wife, but at least I got $4 million out of it. And yes, I did buy a Porsche and a luxury apartment. And also a $200,000 watch. But I'm sure that its value will increase. So I see it more as an investment. Because I predict that this watch will be worth at least twice as much in 10 years as it is now. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you've ever...
Okay, so that one was pretty good. That was cool how he sued his ex-wife for the $4 million. Well, we're at 15 minutes, so I think I'm going to end the video here. So, I want you guys to hit that subscribe button and hit the like button on your way out. Thanks.